Squid Game is a way of bringing viewers into its ruthless world to the point where you can get lost in its reality. Much of what you see on screen is a result of some clever special effects wizardry, and we're about to let you in on it. One of the most recognizable design elements on Squid Game is the dense maze of staircases, corridors, footbridges, and balconies that players and guards move through within the arena. Production designer Chae Kyung-sun has said they're inspired by MC Escher drawings, and indeed, the maze is depicted to give the feeling of near endless stairs. To create that impression, designers had a little help from the CGI team. Although the uppermost structures of the maze are practical sets on concrete floors, they are extended downward with CGI, as can be clearly seen on the above overhead shot. A visual effects reel from Gulliver Studios features many shots of the maze of stairs that connect the various rooms in the compound, and they're all mind-boggling in their own way, each showcasing the CGI artist's skill at making a limited real-life set look impossibly yet convincingly vast. The scenes aboard Captain Park's boat are some of the most intense in Squid Game Season 2. That's partially because of the intrigue of Park playing both sides.
That's my drone, isn't it? Huh? Oh, this?
But also the terrifying nature of open sea navigation. Given how real the storm scenes in particular feel, you may be surprised to learn that they were really filmed in a closed set. More specifically, a practical boat was placed in a controlled studio pool surrounded by blue chroma walls, and then the sea and the storm were created digitally afterward. Much of Squid Game was filmed on location, and the shots of the various secluded islands characters visit use various real-life vistas around the island of Songgabdo, a tiny crescent-shaped island off the coast of Incheon in northwestern South Korea. Although much of the island's actual geography was used, the cave with dive packs leading right to the ocean did not actually exist. In aerial shots, it was digitally added to the side of a rocky cliff. Some fans were disappointed that Junho's team of mercenaries came up empty in their search for the island where the games are played, instead getting a literal bomb in their faces. The Gulliver Studios showreel doesn't do anything to help pacify annoyed fans, but it at least clarifies the nature of the effects used for the detonation. The special effects team created a real explosion. A cable was used to yank back the performer and simulate a shockwave. Fiery blasts were then added to the smoke with CGI to make it look even more powerful and dangerous.
If these traps were set up for us already, then they know where we are and where we're going.
The control room, from which pink-clad managers keep watch over the entire island via security monitors, is another impressive piece of production design in the Squid Game world. Although a lot of it was practical, stunningly so, given what a massive, complex, and detailed environment it is, the show did circumvent the immense hassle of actually synchronizing the footage on the screens with the action. Instead, all the security camera screens around the control room, including both the monitors and the larger screens above, were fully blank when shot. The proper footage was added later. The security camera monitors weren't the only part of the control room that was kept blank during filming either. The centerpiece of the control room, the floor screens displaying headshots of every single one of the Squid Game's players along with their player numbers, also consisted of a litany of glowing blank screens in real life, with the video being added in later. The Pink Motel in Seoul is the place Gi-hun uses as a front for his operations throughout Season 2. Junho eventually tracks him down there.
Sung-gi-hun, you're under arrest on suspicion of murder. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can...
Its exterior was filmed at a real location, with only minimal digital alteration. The building is a real-life motel located in Guri, a city right next to Seoul. The main changes made by the VFX team were removing 2 stories from a building on the same street, replacing it with a view of the skyline and a passing train, and changing the writing on the motel sign to pink. The cramped prison-like compound dormitory where the players sleep is a practical set in Season 2 of Squid Game, just like it was in the first. Even the ceiling is very similar to what it looked like in real life, complete with industrial metal beams. But the transparent piggy bank in which surprise money accumulates was added in via CGI. A large sheet of white lining and a carefully placed light were used to facilitate the proper keying. The isolation of elements in an image by their color or brightness. Then it was all a matter of everyone in the scene convincingly pretending they were looking at an enticing pile of cash. In real life, the actors were just looking at the sheet and the light box that illuminated the set to provide reference points for the VFX team. One could make a case that the first game arena, where the bloody red light, green light game is played in both seasons, is the most terrifying in all of Squid Game. Its open roof and insurmountably high walls covered with pictures of a serene landscape all but mocked the players' captivity, taunting them with a false sense of serenity and nature. In real life, the arena was filmed on an equally large but considerably less grandiose empty lot, most likely located in the city of Daejeon, where most of the show's sets were constructed. What we see of the arena's sandy floor is about 90% what was really there. The house-shaped gates through which the players emerge into the arena were also real, but the walls, the clock, even some of the players were added in digitally to create a real sense of claustrophobia. If one were to put a single face to the Squid Game cultural phenomenon, it would have to be a non-human one, namely the face of Young Hee, the giant robot doll who gives out the instructions during the red light, green light games. The Young Hee model was built and placed on the arena set, but one particular detail in her design was accomplished via CGI. The movement of her eyes, which constantly scanned the arena in search of any movement. Really, the dead-eyed real-life version of Young Hee is still somehow deeply terrifying in her own way. Squid Game is simultaneously dark and darkly funny. Look no further than the death of Mina, the first player to go in Season 2, who simply has the very bad luck of having a bee land on her neck during red light, green light. It causes her to flail around in panic, and since she moves, bang! To film the scenes, the VFX team placed a small blue dot on actress Song Ji-woo's neck, and used it as a reference for the CGI animation of the bee. This tidbit showcases the attention to detail that comes with CGI work. Take a look at Mina's hoop earring, and you'll notice that the CGI team had to remove the blue reflection of the chroma walls. The smaller, more modest corridors leading in and out of rooms in the Squid Game compound are oppressive and claustrophobic, and Season 2 gives those corridors a good workout by placing the climactic shootout sequence within them. In one specific shot, the far-off staircase that extends one corridor and intensifies its labyrinthine nature was added in digitally, along with a new string of hanging lights matching the practical ones, where there was once just a plain blue chroma screen. Next up is the Squid Game maze. As seen during the shootout towards the ending of Season 2, the maze essentially consists of walls lined with balconies and stairs, and a big empty atrium in the middle. In real life, not only was one of the perpendicular walls almost entirely computer-generated, but performers with prop guns had to be placed in the middle of the atrium space, to be removed later using CGI as references for the sniper action. The shootout sequence also gave CGI artists the opportunity to play around with plenty of blood and splatter, and one shot in particular is notable for being almost entirely real, save for the gory detail, of course. The guard on the balcony here is played by a real performer. The bullet holes in the wall behind him are real, albeit slightly altered via CGI. The blood that comes flying out of the guard's body, however, is CGI blood. Next up is the merry-go-round hall in which the players are forced into playing Season 2's best new game, Mingle.
Let's go!
The hall itself is practical, but the same can't be said for the lighting used in that scene. The blue and red-colored lights that get cast on the players were added digitally after the fact. To accomplish that, of course, the scene's lighting design had to be carefully planned to produce shadows and reflections in the correct places. Iconic is the right word for the transparent piggy bank that hands over the players' heads throughout the games. No other visual captures the garish reality TV gone mad energy of Squid Game so perfectly. Although the piggy bank looks entirely real and tactile on the show, you can thank the VFX team for its memorable screen presence. As you can see here, it's all CGI in most shots, and before looking convincingly like a real-life prop, the piggy bank had to go through several stages of digital rendering. Interestingly though, the lighting for these scenes is entirely practical. One of the new games featured in Season 2 is a six-legged pentathlon, in which 5 players tied together have 5 minutes to complete 5 children's games in order to advance all the way around a rainbow-colored track, or else.
No, wait, don't shoot! No, don't do it!
Time's up. You did not cross the finish line.
One of those games, Pangi Chigi, consists of winding a fiber rope around a spinning top and then successfully launching it and making it spin for a few seconds. As we can see here, the close-up shots of the top spinning were animated completely via CGI. Probably much easier than getting a top to spin in real life, right? The players may have been the targets of Young Hee's merciless killer gaze during the red light, green light game in Season 2, but in real life, X marked the spot somewhere else. In standard chroma keying practice, the The lateral walls of the arena set were covered in cross-shaped markings to function as reference points for the subsequent digital edition of the landscape wallpaper as the camera and the players moved around. Funny enough, the crosses appear to have been almost the exact same shade of pink as the in-universe finish line. Even performers without speaking parts have to indulge in a good dose of make-believe on a show like Squid Game. The shootout sequence in Season 2 featured several instances of pink guard actors firing, or more accurately, pretending to fire guns at empty balconies, as though there were anything to hit behind them or anywhere in their vicinity.
Is everyone okay?
Yeah, we're all right, sir.
The real-life set was a little less elaborate in terms of possible trajectories. As we see here, some of the staircases ended on the concrete floor, instead of continuing into ever loopier forms and directions. Still, they must have been a blast for the guard actors to shoot in, pun intended. This shot where we see Gi-hun and Hyunju look up at one of the island's massive walls was filmed in a real location. The wall was created via CGI and placed where there was previously a mirrored glass skyscraper. If you think a straight blue wall would be simple to animate with CGI, you'd be surprised at the number of layers of rendering the animation in question had to go through. Lastly, we return to Songabdo Island, which had to be dramatically modified in post-production to accommodate the red light, green light arena. Man-made constructions within the shot were removed, and the area's forest covering was digitally altered, the better to enable the shot where the ground opens to reveal the rectangular pit and the sand-coated game hall within it.